Hello, beautiful friends. There is something that many of you have been asking to see, and I'm so excited to show it to you today. And that is my beloveds, my garden. I mean, I love you all very much, but this is where I am spending my time, and this gives me so much juice, and I'm going to try not to trip over it all on my way in. There is so much I want to show you and share with you today. So this right here is one of my very special nooks. It's really special because when we moved here like 20 years ago, this was lawn with a bunch of lilies, and my son Trinidad and I worked all weekend and another week taking all of that out and planting trees and bushes, which have now grown up. There's a heartnut tree behind me here, so you're seeing these long leaves, which is like a kind of walnut. And then over here, this is like a little special cove, and I'm going to give you a close-up shot for a moment, but I'm going to sit in this little spot so I can tell you a little bit about what I see as a forest garden. So the idea with a forest garden is that it has trees and bushes and plants that nourish people and other wilder beings at the same time, and that it all works together really beautifully. And you're going for something kind of like what the forest would grow on its own, using that wisdom, and yet bringing to it the wisdom of what you want. I mean, isn't that like the world too, where we want to look at what's working? And my goodness, forests are working. I mean, they're supporting so many amazing beings. And so we can look to those models, but also really dialing in what we want, getting clear about what we want, because sometimes we plant something that turns out is not what we want. Do you know how many things I've planted, like hydrangea, and went like, oh my gosh, it takes so much water. Blueberries take so much water, take so much time. Like, I also want other things in my life besides my garden, as much as I love my garden. So it's a process of learning about myself at the same time that I am learning about the world and how to bring those two together in a way that is really nourishing. I'm Kristin Collier. I'm a writer and a coach helping people find their sparkle with practices that rewire the brain for more joy, better health, and happier relationships. And much of what I learn happens here and is from here, this beautiful garden space and out in the wilds. So to give you an idea, these are gummy berries sitting right next to me. I'm sitting on the little bench, and these gummy berries are so delicious. They're actually quite soft right now and super, super yummy. And I can't resist, actually. They have a big seed in them. They have kind of an astringent quality, but what's really amazing about this bush, in addition to that, is that it's nitrogen fixing. So the roots touch the roots of the cherry tree, which is right here. And the cherry tree has grown humongous because of that. And so has this quince gone crazy. So this is a quince bush or tree, and it makes quince that we eat. And of course we eat the gummies and we eat the cherries. And down below there's a maidenhair fern, another maidenhair fern. There's some asters out there, a little place to sit for anybody who wants to. There's some Oregon grape, which is wonderful medicine, another maidenhair fern, and some wild columbine. These are so pretty. They are, and actually I wonder if I could tip it up. Look at that. How gorgeous is that? That's the wild Pacific Northwest native columbine. And my friend Mike, who has a native nursery, I collect seed for him and bring it back, and he gives me plants every year, which is super sweet. So this is the little nook. I'm just gonna film it coming back this way so you can kind of see how magical this little forest garden is that has developed over time. It's taken decades to bring all of those parts into place, and it's still coming. Like the smaller plants down below are still working into place. The idea is to create something that takes very little effort from me and yet is really, really abundant. Are you ready for the next step? Here we go. This is the Studio Joy Annex or Sanctuary Garden. Oh my goodness, I need to get some water in there. That's a little water spot for bees and birds when it's full, which it should be soon because they really need it in the summertime. And so there's some a lot of native plants there, including a little native huckleberry. And over here, more native flowers and goldenrod, and there's a cherry tree that is just a baby still, and cherry trees are one of those trees that produce more if they have a friend nearby. So there's the big one, and then there's the little baby one that's coming along. And there are calla lilies here, which are past their prime, and Japanese iris, and along the fence are these lovely wild strawberries that are super abundant, and some feral sorrel as well. And this lovely fig tree, which I sit right here. I'm going to sit there and you can see my view. This is when I'm working, including on Prime and Shine, when I was scripting Prime and Shine and preparing the thumbnails. This was my view of where I worked. So I just can't complain about that. And right now, the hummingbirds come and sip from these beautiful, oh gosh, what are they called? Oh, I'll have to think of it. But they're really a super bright color, aren't they? They're lovely. And then coming through this way, our little hammock that's the hammock is planted, do you like that? Under the filbert trees. We planted the filbert trees just for the hammock because when I was in college, when I was 20, Sadie and I realized that is the best light. I'll show you why. To sit under when you're reading and having fun. Look at the filter of the light through those leaves. Is that amazing? You can see all the different shades of green. I just love that. And they're the softest leaves too. They're so, so soft. So there is a cooling pool here too. I get really hot in the summertime. And so this is full of cold water, and I can just tip the lid up and jump in and chill out anytime I want to, which is nice. And there's our little picnic table on the deck. And over here, ooh, I just planted a new little deer fern there. How cute is that? And this calendula volunteers itself. It's so sweet. Every year it just comes back, no effort whatsoever. And there's the little herb garden. I just retired some lettuces last night that had been that have given to us since March actually, and they were just done. And you can see that there are other beings who are really enjoying these collards with us. The last of the slugs before the heat. And one of our Joy Together members gave me these wild, they're called Egyptian walking onions. Thank you, Perla, for that. And they make these little onions on the tops of them. Check this out. Talk about living your present future self. What they do is they flop over, that heavy part flops over onto the ground. It's happening right here as we speak. This is the real life drama. And it will go into the ground and begin a whole new clump of onions. And that is exactly how this one formed right here. They're quite tasty, but they're small. And these ones have taken, again, almost no care from me. And almost nothing has grown in this spot until these came along and just thrived here. So I am really thrilled about that. We have here some, oh my God, it's a forest. It's a forest. Some asparagus. Did you know that that's what asparagus look like when they get fully grown? Isn't that wild? They are big. My kitties like to lay underneath. My kitty who passed a couple of years ago, she had like a special little den that was super comfy, cozy. There's some feral fennel, and it grows wild in my garden every year, and I just have to like take it out of the places I don't want it to be and let it thrive in the places I do. And the fennel pollen is lovely to put in. It makes things look fancy. You can sprinkle a little yellow fennel pollen and it tastes good too. And there is a very loaded gold rush apple tree, and I really appreciate the flavor of those apples, and they're good keepers as well. And over here we've got some peas, which are at the end of their season, so they've gotten dried out a couple of times, I'm afraid, but they keep producing, which is amazing. Look at these little guys. Yum, yum. The thing we have to watch out for is that Leo says yum yum too. So we sometimes fence these off because otherwise he'll come through and just harvest. He also likes the tomatoes. So down here you see a mix of kale. This is some cilantro that's bolting, and tomatoes and lettuces. Can you believe the lettuces are still going even with the high heat? That's just amazing. And the tomatoes are really going wild. There's a little bit of eggplant there and some Swiss chard. I harvested the Swiss chard and the kale like mad. Oh, and I'll tell you a little more what that was like. So Leo and I just harvested some kale. Okay, Leo didn't actually help harvesting kale. He likes to help harvesting the peas, which are right behind us, which is why they're pulled down. But the kale we harvest, and the Swiss chard, we harvest into 3 piles. One is this ucky looking pile that has leaf miners in it, and those ones go to the yard debris. Or sometimes Leo just snacks on them, you know, when I put them down, because he's like, ooh, that looks interesting. And then there's like the kale that we share with the slugs. And then there's the kale that we use for the pesto, and the Swiss chard and the basil, which I'm about to make pesto with. But it's interesting to note that when things don't go as planned, and you have garden friends who eat your kale and Swiss chard, like the leaf miners and the slugs, and sometimes even golden retriever, German shepherd crosses, when that happens, not only is it a disappointment, but it's also kind of a mess you have to clean up. Because if you let these leaf miners here, that's the brown spots, if you let that go, then they'll make more, you know? Like, isn't it like that in life too? Like, sometimes if you don't clean up your messy thoughts, then they just lead to more messy feelings, which lead to more messy thoughts. And then pretty soon you have like a bunch of cleanup to do. So it's better to like stop it early and clean up quick. So, you know, yeah, it's kind of like a double duty. There's the disappointment and then there's the cleanup. But overall, look what you get out of it, right? When you train your mind back to those happy thoughts, you get a bounty. You get a bounty, man. And over here, it's so good to remember that whatever we do helps somebody else and we don't even know it. So this is my neighbor's fig tree. How beautiful is that? It just looks like the perfect backdrop to my garden. Oh my gosh, y'all, look at this. We have a very late going asparagus. Look at the size of that asparagus. I have large hands and that thing is bigger than my thumb coming up. It's beautiful, and it wants to join here. They'll come up here. And so there's a little bit of asparagus here. This was called me trying to figure out where I wanted asparagus. It's perennial, it comes back every year, but you gotta find the right place in terms of sun. There's some more asparagus over there, and there's even some asparagus here. So I tried a lot of things. You know, you throw a lot of pasta at the wall to see if it sticks, and eventually some of it sticks. The main bed that has really done well, that we love, is right here. But we sometimes harvest on these other little beds too. You see this one is still pretty young, and there's a point at which you just let them go, because if you don't let them go to fern like that, then they won't come back the next year. So it's this dance of harvesting while you can and enjoying that, and then letting them do their thing. So these calendula flowers, the orange flowers, are volunteers too. They pop up. Again, I take them out of the main beds and let them kind of live on the edges of things. That's where I like them. Oh, look at the bumblebee is trying to pollinate all of the tomatoes. How sweet is that? Thank you, Bumbler. And oh, I have to show you something. This is so exciting. Over here, shout out going to my great aunt for some cool garden art. Thank you. And down here, some little bit of flowers. There was some native flowers that have gone to seed, and we'll let them kind of seed out. But this guy is an Italian plum tree, an Italian prune tree, and it was almost dead because it had so many aphids, and you can kind of see the fallout from that, how white that leaf is. That is from aphids. eating it. Let me see if I can find a spot that's over here. But here's the fascinating thing. We let it go, and I realized at a certain point, ooh, I should have gotten ladybugs, but it was kind of too late. The heat was coming up and they weren't shipping them anymore, but it was okay because here's what happened. Ta-dum! Can you see those little sweeties? The ladybugs hatched. They heard the call, and that is the goal with the garden, is to find and create spaces so that it can take care of itself. So I have to do less intervention. So here on this leaf, you can see that there is, oh, you can't really see it. Well, what you can see is that there's this shell where a ladybug hatched out of, because I was going to try to find a larva for you, because the larvae are really fascinating looking. Oh, here's one right here. Oh, it just looks like it just hatched out. The larvae are fascinating. They actually will eat the aphids too, I'm pretty sure, and then they are sticking themselves right on the tree. And this tree was just covered with ladybugs as much as it was covered with aphids, so thank goodness for that. And some more tomatoes and potatoes, and lots of tomatoes over here, and even some radicchio, which is making a nice little head. We've been harvesting it by the leaf too. We have some beans coming up. I was out here preparing to show you, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're like tangling with each other. They were like going and trying to get lost in the hallway with each other, necking. So I had to straighten them out and get them going up the wires. Everything needs a little support, we all do. The cucumbers haven't taken off yet, but I'm really excited about those. The potatoes are doing great. We harvested some for a potato salad this week, but there will be a lot more soon. Very excited about that. And here behind me is the strawberry bed, which looks amazing, but really created very few strawberries. So next year we are going to be taking out that bed and putting in a hugelkultur, Really excited about that, which is a mounded bed that has rotting logs at the base of it, so that it helps to keep things watered. All right, so over here, there's actually a little prune tree there amongst the yarrow. I'm super stoked about that yarrow, isn't that pretty? And along here, maybe we'll pause there actually. That is the little cabana where I can meditate and rest and have special quiet conversations with folks. I love that. And these are some Greek giganti beans behind me. These are super, super cool. They have giant flowers, as you might suspect. And last year it took the bees and pollinators a while to understand how to get in there and really pollinate them. And it took some time for the beans to develop as a result. So that was kind of a surprise, but pretty cool. And I mean, it's fascinating because the beans are like, I don't know, they're really big. They're like, the whole bean structure is like 7-8 inches. And then the beans inside of them are like that big. Yeah, and I always put a little bit of flowers and stuff in these beds. These beds are fairly new, this whole concept here. We had a Joy Together party in my backyard, and I said, what does the garden need? And people said, it needs arches, especially Lily. Thank you, Lily, for that. I appreciate that. And over here, we have, these are some natives that I just put in this year. Actually, I'm going to switch the mode so you can see them better. Okay, so yeah, there's some native azalea and ferns and a 9-bark. And this red alder tree, I got really excited about the red alders because they are nitrogen fixing like the gooseberry is. And that is super valuable for helping all of the other plants grow. And over here we have a persimmon tree. Oh, I forgot to show you. This is the raspberries. These are the raspberries and our Marion berries. And when I was picking this morning, I included you. Sada and I are picking berries because we do this about every other morning. And these berries have been picked out pretty well. Now they've been going for what, like 3 weeks?
At least.
Yeah, about every couple days. My camera person fabulously can respond to that. So the trick with berries is finding, ooh, the ones that are soft enough. Oh, go ahead and show who's making all the noise over there too. Yeah, that's our that's our entertainment. The berries have to be soft enough to want to give. Like this one is really soft, but it doesn't want to let go. So, you know, I mean, that's true for us too, right? We sometimes are like almost ready, but not quite ready. That one too. And ooh, that one feels like it's ready to give. Ah, look at that. Yummy, so juicy. Yay. And then I'll show you where see these ones are definitely, I can see the color is kind of reddish, so they're not ready. But down underneath, sometimes it's really obvious when something's not ready, right? And that goes for us too, or watching other people around us. That one looks maybe ready. Ooh. Oh, it's so close. It's so close, you guys, but it's not quite. I saw another one under here. Yeah, this one right here. Doop, it just like jumped off the vine. That's the kind of readiness. Like, ooh, am I ready for joy that way? That's how I want to be, ready for joy. Jump off the vine. All right, so back over here to, this is a special little garden spot where again you have a sit spot, and eventually these trees and bushes will grow up so it will be a forest garden like the other, because down low you have loganberries, which are edible, and there's some over here on this side too. And this is a milkweed, which the monarch butterfly needs on its journey back and forth from one end of the globe to the other, so it's really great to have those in the path. These are some John Crandall black currants, which are really sweet, actually, unusually so for a currant, and it's the only one native to North America. Little bee balm tucked in there. There's stuff tucked in here and there, and look at that. There was a gap where the bales didn't fit, and we just made a little bench there out of concrete. How cool is that? We got to be able to punt, right? And so over here, there's a big leaf maple and some lovage. And eventually, this spot will be so shady from these trees, but we did a complete re-landscaping just in the last year or two. And so this is kind of our landing spot for mulch, which we have tons of. As you might see, we have at the base of the trees, we have chips, and this is a peach tree, and that keeps the water in, and it also protects it in the winter, and it also, gosh, it does something else too, I'm blanking, but here's another peach tree. And a volunteer sunflower, how nice is that? And oh my goodness, you know what? Here's a strawberry bush. This one is going to fruit in the winter. That's the other thing I like to do, is really spread out my fruiting times. I didn't accidentally. I let these two fruit. They came from the nursery just this year, and they're honeyberries, and they actually fruit in the beginning of May. And so this one fruits in like December, January, I think. And that means that there's a flow of food coming all years. Now let's be realistic. I'm not going to be able to like eat, get a full stomach on that, but it's something. And here is a little birdhouse that we were just given by our friends Julie and Camille. It is so sweet. So that is it. That is me and my deer garden that I have the great honor of stewarding, and just sitting up here. Oh, this is Crow's dish. Crow comes and hangs out with us. We know it's multiple crows. It's like at least 2 crows, but they are like part of the family. The cat and dog are not so excited about that, but they come and they actually clean out our gutters, which is super sweet. And you probably heard them when we were doing Prime and Shine, because they make a lot of noise when they come to visit. I hope you're having a marvelous day. Hey, do me a favor and send me some pictures of your garden. Stick them in the comments. I would love to see the ways that your space and you are dancing and nourishing each other. And let me know what you enjoyed about my garden, and also what you think it needs. What's missing here? Because I'm always on the lookout. Unfortunately, well, it's a bit of an obsession, I have to say. But anyway, a lot of fun. Have a wonderful day. Look forward to seeing you next.